Welcome everybody to the show, to Raw Babes. We would like to give a beautiful, warm welcome to Alessandra. Welcome to the show, beautiful soul. Alessandra is a spiritual advisor and healer, coach, ordained minister, certified psychic medium, spiritual advisor and counselor, Reiki master, teacher, and healer. Wow. What a resume.
Thank you so much for having me.
Babe, you just radiate such a beautiful light.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And we're so grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
And Alessandra comes all the way from New Jersey.
I do.
Oh, cool.
I do.
Amazing.
So cool. A quick thing to just kind of catch everybody up. So I was scrolling through Instagram and I was hoping or looking for a protection post. I wanted to put something up on Raw Babes. So I'm looking through and I'm, putting in keywords, and then this post pops up for protection. So I post it, and that was the connection for us to start connecting. And I had no idea. And then after we had, you liked it, I was like, oh, I want to look into your page. And then I did. And I was like, I felt your energy. And I was just like, Tiffany, you need to check this girl out. She's got some good shit going on.
We creeped your ass.
And then it was like,
good.
I was like, hi, do you want to be on the show? Like,
did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
We just knew. It was just telepathy. We're like, we planned it the night before, probably. Our souls were like, okay, it's time.
It's time
to bring each other all together.
And it felt right on my end too. You know how sometimes when you're invited some places, it's like, I don't really know if I want to do this. This was just an immediate, oh my gosh, I love this. And I was looking through your stuff too, and I felt the same exact way.
It's so cool because you and Kristen were in conversation. We share the Instagram, so we're both working on it. And I was reading through your messages, and that came to my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I love how, because you're so in tune, you're awakened, and obviously you felt that right feeling, and you could just see it in your messages. And I'm like, yes,
it's so
I
nice.
love how this works. I love that trade-off where it's like, yes, this feels good. Yes, this feels good. Kate, move forward. Let's not try to understand or manipulate it, whatever. Let's just let it flow. And that's how Kristen and I work. We work with fluidity, because if it doesn't flow, it doesn't go.
Amen. Amen.
Exactly.
God is brilliant.
Yeah. It's
Amazing.
very effective.
So thank you so much for being here. We would love to know about you. Let's just drop it on everybody. Let's know.
All right, we're going to dive in. It's a long story. I'm only 25 years old, but I feel like I've lived so much longer than I actually have. I had to grow up around the age of 10. And that's really what started the ball rolling in terms of intuition and trusting myself and rising up in my ability and capability. When I was, even before like 9 or 10 years old, I was always very, very, very much connected to the divine. It was just a natural connection I had. It was something where, for instance, before we become conditioned when we're much younger, we have a much more open, the veil is much thinner, right? We have a much more open mentality. And I just knew that if I spoke to the divine, regardless of whom that may be, angels or whomever, I just knew that I was going to get a response in return. Like there was going to be a two-way communication. There was no doubt in my mind, because why wouldn't they communicate too? And that was the start. So years later, when I realized that this was a calling for me and to get certified, etc., I then remembered the connection I had to spirit as a child, and it all came full circle, because I realized that wasn't necessarily normal. Children don't necessarily do that all the time. Maybe some do, but I thought it was normal at the time. So when I had to grow up at 9 or 10 years old, my father, who was my best friend growing up, he was everything to me. We had a really, really, really deep bond. he was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, and there was a lot of abuse that went on pretty much in every category, mental, physical, emotional, every single category, there was something there.
Wow.
And our relationship became more and more strained. And as a 9 or 10-year-old, you really want to make excuses for them because you don't really know any different necessarily. So there must be a reason why they're acting X, Y, Z. But the spirit in me was just like, no, this is wrong. This is not right. So as a 9 or 10-year-old, I really had to come to terms with the way people are, and the way they are is not as loving as you would think when growing up. And I had to basically fight for my siblings and the custody battle. The divorce itself took at least 7 years. It was a very long, very messy divorce. And the judge would not see me or hear me or talk to me. And he would appoint all of these other people to speak to us. And then that would cost, thousands and thousands of dollars for my poor mom, who really just wanted the best for us. And she's super mom. She's my best friend ever. And I'm so lucky. I really don't know where I would be if I didn't have, that duality, seeing at least have the light with me. It wasn't all dark, right? So I had the light and the dark. And it was very interesting watching those two forces basically go at it. So from a very young age, I was able to watch the way God makes all things right, even if it took 7 years, even if it took a long time. That was my first really, really big test of faith, knowing that everything will come full circle, regardless of how long it takes. Then a couple years later, there was some really, really, really deep set anxiety, trauma, all of that stuff that basically bubbled up inside of us, and it turned into Lyme disease. My whole family. My mom, my brother, my sister, and I. So I'm the oldest of 3. And we were all diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. We were not bit by a tick. We were actually breathing in black mold.
Oh, fuck.
For years in our home. So the stress from that situation basically put our bodies in a compromised position, which made the black mold only that much worse. And so we then had all of these health problems, and 2 years into treatment, apparently we had the Lyme disease for at least 5 years before we even knew that it was Lyme disease. So even finding a doctor that would take us seriously because it wasn't coming up on blood tests,
Oh my God.
that was a whole other story. That was a nightmare. But then we did find someone, thank God, very knowledgeable, integrative. It was also an area of medicine that we weren't used to. And that was also a leap of faith. It also more expensive, right? And it doesn't work as quickly. There's less instant gratification. So it's almost like all of these healthy habits over time end up helping your body heal itself versus you taking something external and the pain just kind of goes away, but it may not actually cure what's actually the cause of it. So that was another giant test of faith. Our organs were not doing too hot. In fact, the doctor sat us down and was basically like, the treatment that we have here, it's not working anymore. And you're just like too far gone, all of you. So you're going to need deeper treatment. And the treatment she suggested is called an FMT. It's a fecal microbial transplant. We had little to no, our microbiome was just shot. It was
wow.
shot. And we were also being eaten alive. That sounds very dramatic, but we were by tons of parasites because our bodies could not fight off everything that it was receiving. So we were just in really bad shape. The FDA had not approved the FMTs yet, so we were sent to Germany, Bad Cronenbach, which is in Bavaria. And my grandparents, my mom's parents, who are also helped raise us, it takes a village, hopped onto a plane with us, and we all went to Germany together for 2 weeks. And we got at least 6 rounds of treatment each, 6 transplants each at least. But we really made it the best we could. Just so you know, I personally think that was the best trip. Wasn't really a vacation, but it was the best trip I've ever been on, even with all of the medical stuff. It was so beautiful. We got to be in the countryside of Germany, so not the touristy areas. The food was amazing. It was
Wow.
a wonderful opportunity.
Mm.
Fast forward, it worked. We're getting
Wow.
a lot better, more healthy, etc. And I'm starting college. So we're at 2016 now. And I go into college, and on the first day of classes, my freshman year, I meet someone who is a member of my soul family. Immediate soul recognition, immediately.
Oh,
And that was the catalyst for my awakening. That was
wow.
for this level, for the next level of that awakening. So it was almost like all of the trials leading up to this point were preparing me for that. And then not necessarily that that relationship, but that stage of my life, that stage of my awakening journey, because it was at that point that I really started diving into my own gifts. And I had grown up Catholic. And it was at that point that I started seeing the world in a much broader way, seeing the way Catholicism was just it's just very narrow, very man-made, all of that. Even if it is based on teachings of love, not all of it was resonant with me.
Mhm.
And meeting this person started this snowball effect of looking inward. So if you know tarot, it was almost like a long hermit mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like really looking inward, really doing a lot of soul searching. And that was basically the catalyst that brought me to where I am now, which is having all of these certifications, starting my own business. I was, since I was little, I really thought that I was going to be on Broadway. So I'd studied theater. I had studied voice for over a decade. I had made my professional debut when I was 19. I had no
Amazing.
idea that I was going to be sent in a different direction. So 2020 comes and the pandemic and all of that. And that was the year I was supposed to graduate. So, well, I did graduate in 2020, but nothing could really come of that since we all ended up just going home and sitting home anyway.
Yeah.
It just wasn't sitting right in my soul with doing theater anymore for some reason. And that also made me kind of lose myself, because my identity was, for at least a decade, was in that. And it was actually in the healing aspect of the art. It was more, my passion came from the catharsis that this storytelling gave to the audience. Like, I did West Side Story, and after
Amazing.
after that production, that was my professional debut, I got all of these thank you cards for playing what I did. And I had never gotten thank you cards for playing a role before, ever in my life. I was like, see, this is why I do what I do. It's that part of it. It's not, the curtain call. It's not the flowers after. It's not really any of that. And I realized that all of the spiritual stuff that I've been feeling within and working on in myself, I was meant to put that on a much bigger scale. And that same healing aspect that I found in theater, I'm actually doing on this platform, only in it's in a very different way, but also it's the same. It's
It's the
very
same.
healing. It's the same. It's rooted in healing.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to where I am now.
Shit.
Dang.
It's a long story, but I kind of blew through it as quickly as I could.
Buddy, you still got so many years of stories to
yeah.
endure.
Oh, I do.
I think like there's a couple things that stood out for me. So for one, being 9 and 10, it's really interesting how you had that level of awareness of like, this isn't right.
Mhm.
Because usually it's between 5 and 7 where like, okay, we're conditioned, let's move forward. Where you kind of backtrack that backwards to when you were much younger, because anytime before that, children are so perfect and they're in their purest form.
They're brilliant.
Brilliant. Like they're just
perfect.
They're perfect. And for you to have that level of awareness and seeing how young you are now at the level that you're playing at is so reassuring that we are on the right track. We are doing, because I feel the generations younger than Kristen and I, it's so refreshing to see the young faces coming forward at this level. Like, honest to God, like I'm just so grateful to have you've just been awakened to that. My second, well, I have a question. My first question.
I was like, was it a question? I don't know if that was a question.
It wasn't a question, but I have one now.
Okay.
When you said your father was diagnosed with narcissism, how did he get diagnosed? How does one get diagnosed for such a thing?
So my parents went to couples counseling to help save their marriage, and they were sent to a psychiatrist who also does talk therapy. So because he is a medical doctor, after hearing the sessions, watching them, he was able to run the necessary tests needed, and he came to the conclusion. But as narcissists do, I'm sure you can imagine the reaction and the denial of the diagnosis on his end. So he's the only one in the room who doesn't believe that he actually has narcissism, but everyone else was like, oh no, I can see it. That's exactly what it is. So even his family is in denial of it up until this point. And that's also to be expected, but that's part of the journey. It's letting people go that no longer serve you and not allowing them to bring you down and make you move backwards after you've come so far, regardless of who they are, family or not. And that is such an important thing to grasp. I know so many people stay stuck in these really toxic familial situations because they're family. And you know what? That's what my father's family did. So, apples don't make oranges. His parents were abusive as well. And there's that inner child wounding that just continues to go from generation to generation to generation because it's not being healed. The cycle is not ending. No one is breaking the cycle. So his family to this day believes that I should forgive him and move forward and let him back in my life. But forgiveness and letting him back in my life are two very different
things. Good job, Boo.
I'm going to do one of these.
It's a clap.
We're clapping for you right now.
Clapping.
Yeah. I was like, I wanted to do one of those a little while ago.
Yeah.
I was like, we need to clap for you. Congratulations.
That's a beautiful, thank you for sharing that, because it helps our audience be a little bit more clear on, and just that aspect of it.
Yeah. And just curious, because this is a good topic. It seems to be coming up a lot right now on narcissism. And I just posted something, Mel Robbins, she talked about it also.
My mom.
Sorry?
That name, my mom has done her programs.
Awesome.
She's amazing.
Isn't she?
She's just so clear.
Shout out to her.
Yeah. And her number one thing that she said right now is it's called let them. So it's like, let them go, let them do what they want to do. Let them be who they are. Because when you let people do what they want to do, you can see if they align in your life or not.
Exactly.
And it's all about letting the world be them. But you're trying to change, control, or fix and control these people because you're not letting them be their authentic self.
As a narcissist.
And letting the narcissist be the narcissist. Let them be who they really are so you can see clearly. But my question was, what were some traits? Like, a lot of people don't know, like they just don't know what that is because they're so conditioned to living in the cycle. They're so in it for all the years with moms, with their parents. And it's like a really big awakening to actually look at your parent in a different lens. So what are some of those signs of a narcissist as a parent?
So I'm going to answer that question in two ways. I'm going to answer it from the eyes of a 9 or 10-year-old, what stood out to me, and then now as an adult, what has been there the entire time that I can still see to this day. So when I was 9 or 10, what stood out to me was the anger, was the switch, the hot fuse switch. So when he didn't get what he wanted, there was this switch that would go off, and the anger would go from 0 to 100 really, 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 really quickly, and he would get physically abusive. Now, that all of those traits didn't come out, when I was 5, 6, 7. It took a while. It took a couple of years of him living through his firsts, right? His first child, his first this, his first that. And then once life started to get mundane, once my little sister was born, who's about 4 or 5 years younger than me, that's when, shit hit the fan, because life was getting boring. He wanted more excitement in his life. He wanted to go off and play in his own hockey league and go to all of these islands and all of this stuff, all of this really, really expensive stuff. We didn't even know where he was getting the money for it. But when I was 9 or 10, that was when I first started noticing these switches, because we needed him home. So when I would ask him to help with homework or something like that, but he wanted to go off and go do a hockey game, or at the time I didn't realize this was happening, but his girlfriend, and or things like that, right? It would, dropping bombs. But wait, that's a whole nother story, because
there's always these offshoots.
Honestly, that's the tea. We have to come back to that, because that's wild. But long story short, we were kind of getting in the way. We were getting in the way of putting a damper on him trying to stay young and all of that stuff. So as we got older, his symptoms just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And there was zero doubt in my mind after I really took a look at it. I watched my mom, and I could feel the sincerity in her. And him, it felt like heavy. It felt just intuitively, I could feel this deception that was just running through his veins. And I couldn't even pinpoint exactly what he was being deceptive about, but I just didn't trust him. And there wasn't a single moment necessarily that stood out that made me, oh, okay, now I can see it. It was over time, but not that long. It was only maybe like in about 3-4 weeks, maybe about a month's time, I had really made up my mind about it.
Probably a feeling.
Yes, for sure. And that feeling, because it wasn't a specific event that stood out to me, my mom did a really good job of hiding a lot of stuff. So if I were to see if she didn't hide it, I probably would have come to that conclusion significantly sooner. But she was trying to save her children, which we were all under 10. So we were very young. And
she was protecting him
100%.
Yeah.
She was doing her best,
enabling him, really.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
there's trauma within her and reasons why that happens.
She would try to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Until the point where she didn't even want to control him anymore. So the only there was no point. She wanted to be free, and she risked everything. So the money, like, it didn't have to take us, the divorce did not have to take 7 years, but she did not stop fighting for us. And all of those things, we didn't see then, but like years later, you can see the grandiose syndrome of just him inflating the things that he does. Meanwhile, nothing ever actually gets done. I've found that just from what I've seen, it's almost like with a narcissist, you kind of get two different categories. One, they are very successful and they are very fulfilling, and they do a lot. My father is a living victim. So he just doesn't, he has all this potential, but he has been living as though he's retired for years. He is like a tennis instructor or something. He doesn't have a real job, and any real job that he does have, it's fake, or it's it's not real. Like, it's bullshit when he's talking to you about it, because nothing ever comes from anything he does. So he had worked for my grandfather. We call him Poppy. So for the sake of this podcast, when I refer to him, I'll call him Poppy. So he worked for Poppy. That's my mom's dad. And my Poppy started a business in his garage in Irvington. He's an Italian, he comes from an immigrant family and very, very, very little money. And he started this company that had grown to become a multi-million-dollar company. He still to this day works there almost full time. He's 86 years old.
Good job, Poppy.
He's the best. He is truly my father figure, and I don't know what I would do without him. He worked for him and was a manager there, and there was some theft going on. So that's kind of where a lot of these vacations came from. They're very luxury vacations. I didn't know at that time that money was even an issue. I had no idea. And he had stolen a lot of money from the company, and the person that he ended up cheating on my mom with worked for my grandfather. So all of that was happening right under the nose of my mother's family, but my mom was the only one that didn't know. So it was also incredibly embarrassing for her. There was just a whole lot going on. It was a mess. And then later on, to get back to your question, I have ADD. I'm so sorry. So if I go on a tangent, please bring me back to center.
Sounds like a big circle jerk your family's had to endure.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So now that, I'm 25, you see all of the grandiose syndrome, lies left and right. I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth unless it's proven to be true somehow. You might as well just assume that it's not true. And everything that he did was very manipulative. Very extremely manipulative. He's very intelligent, very smart. And you could see the way he's able to manipulate conversations. I've seen him in action. He's even, it does it with us even to this day, and tries to get certain responses out of us, and then comes in with it says something else that is basically giving him the internal feeding he needs in order to sustain that narcissistic just way of living. He needs that self-sustaining praise. And so basically he acts like he's incredibly not selfish. He acts that way. In fact, like he says things like, yeah, I gave my day up just to go help this person, or, things like that. He would just say it blatantly, so that your average Joe would think, the children are crazy. The big story of that family is that my mom has brainwashed us, that my grandparents have brainwashed the children. And so basically it's just this victim mentality that never, ever ends, ever. There's zero responsibility being taken. None. In fact, if I were to ask him, which I have yet to do, it's something that I would very much like to do at some point, but given the right opportunity and the right setting, etc. Because I don't want to open a bag of worms that is not worth opening. I just want to kind of move on with my life and leave that door closed. But if the opportunity presents itself, if I am being accused of, which I still am by their family, for instance, of not forgiving him, I want to ask him, what do you want forgiveness for? I want to see him tell me exactly, in his mind, why he would like forgiveness. Because I want to hear if he's actually able to say what was done, the damage done, all of that, because I know that he's not going to be able to tell me what it is that happened that was wrong. So him wanting forgiveness is actually more about him being a victim of us not forgiving him than actually him. It's not about him actually saying he's sorry and making a blank slate. It's really more about us not forgiving him. So everything he does is very twisted. It's very backwards. It's all a mind game all the time.
Wow.
Hope that answers your question.
It's interesting how these type of behaviors can give such a mind fuck and really make you second guess your own behaviors, and making you feel like you're the crazy one. But I mean, obviously there's lots of healing around this for you.
Oh yeah.
The one thing that I've analyzed is that with the work that you are doing, the work that Kristen and I are doing, is we're opening up this I don't want to say Pandora's box, but opening up the floodgates of that veil that you talked about earlier. So when we get more in touch with, you know, our calling and our discernment and getting in touch in better relationship with our intuition, we are able to question these things and hold space for other people. Because I've been saying this a lot lately, we can be the masters of our own shadows.
Mhm.
And I think it's really, you know, there's a lot of years, and I can relate to this and so can Kristen, a lot of years of conditioning and a lot of hurt and trauma that can happen. And that's what's going to make you that master. And the cool thing about recognizing narcissistic traits is, I think that is like, here's the one end of the spectrum of like, you know, say where we're at, and then there's all these different traits in between, whether or not you align with them or not. But then you have the narcissistic traits that actually open up the eyes of the observer, and it's so easy to detect the different characteristics in other people to know if you align with them or not, because you've experienced the narcissist behavior from an individual like your father, the one person that you only knew and loved, the one person that helped raise you during the time, you know, until your awakening, obviously. So I think the contrast is very obvious, and it makes it a lot easier to have a thicker skin and know who the fuck you're actually dealing with.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And there's playing with those light and dark parts of yourself. You know, the dark parts of yourself is like, don't come one step closer to me. You're right. It's like that. It's that really, it's not really a dark part, but it's more of the more aggressive. I want to say it's more of like the masculine side of you is really the one that's making those boundaries, not allowing him to basically his energy to come into my field like at all. Like for instance, the second I saw him pop up on social media, I blocked him immediately. I don't want to see his name. I don't want him to follow me. I don't want him to see what I'm doing, because I don't want him in my field. I just
cut the cords.
Exactly. I just don't want him there. But then that lighter side, that more feminine side, is the side of me that says thank you. It's the side that says thank you so much, because if you didn't do what you did, I would not be where I am right now at all, anywhere near where I am right now.
I was just going to ask you, like, what is the other side that has brought, what is the side of the light that has brought for you?
Yeah. It's deep gratitude. Deep, because also I do have to give him this, like in the years where he was good, he did teach me a lot of good things, and he does have these good qualities,
which is very deceiving.
Exactly. So the good parts of, yes, he was, for instance, all of my friends' favorite parent out of all of their friends, right? So they loved my dad. So he also had to be the center of attention, even like with my friends. But when I was growing up, I didn't see it like that. I was like, this is so cool. All my friends really like my dad. This is awesome. But, you know, looking at it now, it's like, that's so fucked up. He literally wanted this external validation from like 8-year-olds. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, we have so many people that are not in the seeing and in the know. So there's so many followers and so many sheeple out there that it's really easy to grab a hold of that mindset and feel empowered when they look up to you, like with these wide eyes and putting you on a pedestal. And it feeds that narcissistic behavior and makes them feel like that, you know,
they're on top of the world.
They're on top of the world, and they're untouchable and no one can touch them.
And a really good a really good red flag to look out for is somebody that is maybe has those tendencies. See who their top 5 people are that they hang out with. What type of energy are they surrounding themselves with? Because that's going to be a direct indicator of, are they the ones at the top of the pyramid and have people beneath them? Or do they have other people like mentors, coaches, counselors, Reiki healers, energy workers? It says a lot. And that's a really good indication for me in my journey, and, you know, potentially having a partner one day is to who do they surround themselves with, and you'll know really quick
Mhm.
who their top 5 is. So it's a really good red flag or little tip to keep in the back pocket.
Well, anybody that I think whoever your top 5 is, you should be
I agree.
looking at their top 5.
I agree.
It
should
just
be
keeps
the-
going out, branching out.
Yeah, for the whole world, for your best friend, for everybody, your parents, and just be mindful of the energy. But like Tiffany was saying, let's go into what you do, the magic, and how you're helping Earth School and what you're here to do. So what you're currently up to, let's bring that positivity and raise the vibration of all the magic that you do.
Yeah, I love that.
So I would say, in the briefest way possible, I help people to return home to themselves and find the parts of themselves that they've lost, specifically through inner child work. When your inner child is happy, you are happy. And if your inner child is sad, you feel broken. You feel like there's holes in you. You just don't, you feel like something's missing in life. The other thing that I really focus on is helping people to enjoy the journey with their focus on the divine and the love of what the divine is, without necessarily having to shove any labels down anyone's throat. Whatever, it's a very however the divine resonates for that person, I go with that, because the point is not the labels, the point is not the human practices or religions. The point is love. The point is spreading the love and uplifting the vibration of the planet, and becoming this contagious love for everyone else, to keep spreading that as much as possible. So I help people. There's a couple different categories, specifically with soulmate relationships. We go into that a lot because that is a topic that was introduced to me in 2016, and that whole journey. I help people navigate through their own trials in life and help their perspective shifts, and help them to actually use that to build a toolbox that's going to help propel them forward, and then give back in some way, however they choose to do it, because that's just what naturally happens.
100%.
It's not like I'm like, okay, now you have to give back. It just naturally occurs that way. That's just how the journey is. At some point, you feel the need to do something, even if it's like in volunteer work, anything. It doesn't have to be your career like it is for us. It on any level, and then that's how you start lifting the vibration of the planet, and that is just the most rewarding. We were talking about that before we even started recording, how rewarding it is to do the work we do and to live in this high vibrational place. It's so freeing. I wouldn't go back to being asleep if you gave me $10 million.
Yeah, no shit.
Let me just do one of these.
She's clapping
for you. I love that you said that, and I love that you put a dollar amount and was like, no, I agree. We agree.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what got you to be certified? Like, what was that like? What was that test like?
Yeah, okay.
To be a certified medium.
Yeah, so a couple different courses that I was taking. My mentor, her name is Sarah Milligan, and she is a brilliant medium, and she's a psychic medium, but she specializes in mediumship and physical mediumship. So her work is absolutely spectacular. So she is located in Cape Cod. So I had to go up to Cape Cod for testing, but I would do the classes on Zoom like this.
Okay.
And there are different levels of classes and workbooks, homework. Like, it's just like, it's like getting a degree. It's not as intensive as its own degree, but it's similar. You have the homework, you have the practice, the cards and stuff that was self-taught. Well, she did do cards, but like, for instance, like the tarot and all of that was all self-taught. When it comes to the testing, when I had to go up to Cape Cod, and there were these random people, she got neighbors, friends, like people that I've never seen before. And there were basically lines of just like, I think there were 4 or 5 people online, and these chairs, just 2 sitting face to face, And I got to bring some cards with me if I wanted to use them. A couple of the runs, we weren't allowed to use them at all. It had to go specifically with using your clair senses, which are the spiritual senses versus our human senses. You know, like we see, hear, feel, touch. The spiritual senses of hearing spirit, seeing spirit, feeling spirit, all of that, and downloading it that way. And I didn't know any of these people. They would ask me these questions, and then they would actually write on a piece of paper how their experience was, and she would watch and etc. But the certification basically came with how effective your advice was, how effective your the way you were able to download the spiritual information. It's because it's a really big responsibility. I really need to preface it with, like, it's a huge responsibility. People take so much stock in what you're saying, how you're saying it, what the message is, that you know, if you don't know what you're doing, you could really fuck someone up, to put it lightly. You really, I mean, I've had people come to me and say, like, I went to this advisor and they told me XYZ, and I was like, oh my God, no, please get that out of your head. That is based. This person is projecting their own wounding onto your situation. Please have so much spiritual discernment with who you let into your space.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
No, that's so fucking legit, because I just had this conversation with one of my clients, and I'm so like encouraging to go outside of her practice, like just keep bringing in the knowledge. And she's meeting others, Reiki masters and spiritualists and whatever have you not. And that was the message I gave to her. I was like, please just be very mindful of who you let in, because the thing is, it's really hard to get, I've analyzed it enough where I see a lot of light workers giving information and they're not doing the work. And I find that very detrimental to our mental and physical health.
Oh my God. Yes. I also just want to add, like, you do not have to be certified to be a good reader. You don't. It's like, you don't. Like, there are some really, really, really good readers and channelers that are not certified at all. That was something that was specific to me and my path that the divine put me on for whatever reason, because that path would just work best for me personally and on my own journey. But just because it says like certified doesn't mean that they are going to give you accurate information without their own projection. So you really have to be careful regardless. And it's the same thing even without not about readers. Like if it's a doctor or a lawyer and they, you know, they're supposed to know about all of this stuff. If something doesn't feel right to you, just because you are not a doctor doesn't not mean that you don't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
You know, it doesn't matter how much schooling someone's had. It does not matter. And I always tell my clients, regardless of who they're listening to, because a lot of them follow all of these, you know, tower reader accounts and things like that. I've had people ask me, oh my God, I'm getting so anxious because I keep seeing all of these messages about XYZ. My response is always the same. You take what resonates and you leave the rest always.
That's right.
You are never, ever victim to something someone says. If someone says something, that does not mean that it is going to happen like that to a T or at all. So you have to be really, really, really careful with how you're listening also, and how open you are, because you are so powerful. You're not victim to what other people say just because they smack a label on themselves.
I love that. And it's
good job.
So legit. Thank you. I think we kind of had a bit of an awakening during the last 3 years on those with the labels that everybody was trusting and we're not giving accurate information.
Yeah. And we talk about this. It's like, who are they getting their information from? Who are they connecting with in the divine? Because we have all different types of energies. I had a really big, what you can call it a scare, but it was actually just a beautiful life lesson that just got me to go, oh, okay, this is perfect. Now I've learned that lesson and now I can help teach it. And then also with my own clients to say, hey, You don't just go and get your shit from anybody. And you got to be really mindful. Do your research. Ask them who is their coach or healer, just like a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like you say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Tiffany and I live by that motto.
Yeah.
So what do you find the most that people are coming to you with? What are they asking you? What do they need?
The main topic that I see in my practice is people on a relationship journey, regardless of whether or not it's a soulmate or a karmic lesson of some sort, regardless of what label you want to put on it. There's something about the relationship dynamic that is definitely center for me and my work. And it's interesting that it's that topic, because that's kind of the main topic, versus career or health necessarily. That was the first main lesson I learned as a child. Was the big lesson was, the relationship I had with my father. So relationships in general, regardless of who they are, relationships are probably the main thing that people come to me about. But also when people come to me with that, it's usually expands just naturally into their own awakening journey. So a lot of people do come to me in general, just for general help with awakening and on their journey. That's probably topic number 2 that is the most talked about. But we end up getting there anyway with every single client I have. So even if it starts, with, I want to know about XYZ, it ends up going back to them anyway.
Always does.
And it's like, become your own soulmate first.
Exactly.
Because if you want that, you need to embody the soulmate that you are calling in, because they can't find you if you aren't embodying that.
Exactly.
I think that there is a huge connection in this topic versus what's going on in the world. And we have not kept up fast enough to how social media can actually serve us. And we're already practicing spending too much time in virtual relationships and not spending enough time with one-on-one. And it's interesting because we get that a lot too with a career, but mostly relationships, especially right now. And it seems that people are seeking these distractions outside of themselves. And like you said, once you start going into this work, it's a full circle jerk and it's coming right back to you. And it's like that self-love needs to come from you first. So it's so much better to have a whole and complete person with another whole and complete person. And then now coming together instead of two broken people trying to fix each other or searching for that fulfillment outside of ourselves.
Yes.
I think it's just where we're at in this world right now. And we're having troubles, or it's challenging to see the other side because we've been so conditioned with our influences around us.
Exactly. And we are each other's teachers. So if you look at it that way, every single soul that comes into your life is either propelling your journey forward or teaching you something. No one is random. There is not a single soul that is random. Even the someone that opens the door for you and holds it open at the supermarket. It doesn't matter. Every single person is placed exactly where they're meant to be in that moment in time for a reason. And you are never victim of your circumstances. That does not mean that if you feel victimized by something, those feelings are incredibly valid. Oh my God, they are so valid. But you have to awaken to your potential, into your inner power, because you can overcome all of that. You are not meant to just survive. You are meant to thrive. You are not meant to just get by. You are meant to overcome and then help other people overcome and continue to spread that light. It's life is so much more than what people are awakened to right now. But you also think about it. Everything that we hear in life is a lot of it is so negative. Like you hear life sucks, life is hard, people
Mhm.
suck, I hate people. You hear all the breakup songs and the movies that are
Mhm.
just, you know, devastating and heartbreaking. Like all of this stuff that is, it's just so negative. Like, of course, people are not going to have a happy outlook on life. I mean, even the media that we consume, like the news, there could be some wonderful, wonderful stuff happening. I would never know it. I would
No.
never, ever, ever know it, because the only thing I ever hear about is the destruction and all of the horror that is, and the low vibrational stuff that is happening. So society is so focused on like the lower vibrational stuff, and it kind of creates this perpetual victim mentality that people don't even realize that they have more in them. They
Yeah.
don't know, because they're not taught that. That's why I think, you know, in schools, that's a whole nother topic, but that there should be,
It
my
sure
God,
is.
that's gonna open it. That's a whole nother episode. My God. You know,
We'll bring you back. Don't worry.
Yeah, they need to be teaching like meditation and
That's
all
right.
of that stuff, and start basically training you as a soul from a young age to thrive, not just skate by to survive.
Here's
Love it.
something I just want to bring attention to a little bit with what you're saying, because I feel like everything works in this pyramid structure, right? We can agree. When it comes to the culture that you had just described, a lot of that starts from the top.
That's right.
And it just trickles down. So with media, it is controlled with what they're actually sharing, because they're not even sharing the topics that are detrimental, that would actually move us to a place of love and help. They're moving us to a state of fear. So we have to understand the narrative.
They're trying.
They're trying very hard. And here we are now, for those who are looking at it going, this doesn't feel right. Let's start using our own discernment, because we're actually not designed to be controlled.
Right.
Fucking hell no. We're designed to be the sovereign, free beings.
That's right.
And when we're controlled, something ain't right.
Nope.
And we're going back to narcissistic behavior. There's no way anybody in fucking government is a light fucking worker. There's no fucking way.
Yet.
Well, they have to resign.
Yeah, but yes, totally.
They're fucking psycho.
They are 100%. And I mean, that goes back to the biggest divide in all of existence, regardless of, you know, where you're at in the multiverse that we exist in. The biggest divide of ever is fear and love, because if you every single thing on the face of the planet derives from either fear or love. Even some of the most heinous of acts, you know, this is an extreme example, but like Hitler, for instance, that is actually
fucking say that.
I mean, that's the most extreme example I can think of.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, there is like fear of lack. So you might as well have as much power as you can have, right?
That's right.
There is underneath it all, I mean, aside from, you know, biological, chemical stuff going on in his brain, which is a whole nother thing, there is a root of fear going on. Like, for instance, like people that want land, they want power. Why? Because they're afraid of being powerless. They're afraid of lack. So everything either derives from fear or love. And definitely from those higher ups, that is one of the biggest things that I see coming from them. I don't think I can think of anyone, like you were saying, that just has light radiating from them
at the top. No, they'll be destroyed. They are destroyed every time. Anybody
they'll
that
probably
actually
disappear, to be quite honest.
They do.
They'll probably, you know, low-key get murdered. Disappear.
Yeah.
I just feel though the shifts are here. They're happening because people are just going through massive awakenings, whether they like it or not now. The shift is just here. So there's going to be a lot of change. And you know, there is a lot of change.
There is a lot of
narcissists also, like when you go to Hitler, he wasn't born that way. You're not born that way. They're created.
Right.
And a narcissist is created from their parents or whoever brought
that
them
cycle.
up.
Yeah.
So really,
truly,
it makes a lot of sense. So I think the whole roundabout picture about what we're talking about is childhood. Do your best to get the help and the upgrades that you need as a parent so that you can have the tools to pass down to your child so they don't have to go through this.
No shit.
Because it all starts from right from the get-go, from birth.
I talk to my clients all the time about when we go over stuff about their inner child, if they have children, I bring them up specifically to help them teach their children how to identify their own needs so that their children can become more emotionally intelligent from a young age and more sovereign from a young age and less conditioned by the world. And I think if we're able to help children with that, there's going to be less dysfunctional adults because
100%.
the dysfunction starts in childhood.
That's right. Okay. So this is okay. Well, you got something. You're gonna say something. You want me to go?
I think it's probably gonna be the same.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Okay,
So
probably. We always do this.
I'm excited. Can I just do another?
Yeah.
We just need a little dance.
I know you can't hear
You can't
it.
hear it.
I
can
can't,
you?
but I'll show
But
you.
you felt it. You felt it. We sent it your way and you moved with us. So good job.
Okay, so here we are as adults in this realm of healing, because we are in a time and space where a lot of healing is happening. So we deal with the healing. We have our children now or upcoming children, and we've done the healing. What do you suspect that these children with the parents that are awakened or what do you suspect that they would be practicing heavily on? Because it's not healing in the way that we are. It's just.
Oh, you mean like where would their inner work lie?
Yeah.
Okay, I think they're the movers and the shakers. So if we are the ones waking them up, they're the ones now doing the moving. So like we are also doing some moving and all of that. But if they're able to start from a very young age at actually changing society, so the children that we are instilling that love and that sovereignty in are going to be at some point down the line, they're going to be at the peak that we were talking about, those officials. Right? It's going to take years and years and years and years and years for that to happen because change is slow, change is uncomfortable, etc. It's not going to happen overnight. But I really see like over the course of the next 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now, eventually there is going to be this clear out of the old way of living, the old way of quote unquote surviving in entrapment and fear-based living and more love in general. And that's coming from the people that genuinely want to help, genuinely want to serve, genuinely want to help uplift the vibration of the planet. Because if you think about it, if you are out just living your life from a place of love, from an intentional place, you are consciously working on uplifting the vibration of the planet. It's not that you are just, going about your daily life and it just so happens to happen that way. For some people that, that have a good heart, that is what happens. It kind of just follows them around, even if they're not fully awakened. If they're a good person, they're still doing the work for sure.
100%.
But these children are going to consciously be working to shift the way society works. And I really feel like they are like the light warriors, just like we are. There's going to be more and more and more and more and more of them out there.
Cool. I have a question.
Go. Was it? It wasn't. Shit.
But it's okay. I want to dive into more of your mediumship.
Sure.
I want to, so Tiffany and I, like, obviously everybody has the ability to choose if they want to access and open their clairs. So let's talk a little bit about your gifts and what's your strongest clair, or how do you like to channel, and let's go into that.
Okay. So yeah, we are all psychic, all of us. We are all, Spirit is not going to just throw us onto earth and say, haha, good luck. No, like they're going to give us a way to be able to communicate from where we came from. It's our birthright.
Totally.
So of course we're all able to access it, but we're not given the tools to do so. So my personally, the gift that we all have in quotes, that is strongest for me is the psychic, is the empath. So feeling into someone's situation and finding all of the ins and outs of what's going on in their situation, also predictions and things like that. My strongest clair is clairsentience. I am so empathic, and that's not always a good thing sometimes. Like sometimes you feel too much, right? Especially with everything going on in the world, you're just more prone to feeling the collective energies and things like that.
And we're crying.
Oh, 100%. Oh my God, so much purging and detoxing and all of that.
Okay.
I also hear a lot, so clairaudience.
Okay.
And I see as well, clairvoyance. Those are the main ones that they use. Oh, the other one is claircognizance, is that you just know. There's no really way to
Just
know it. You just
clear
kind of
knowing.
know it. It's just like,
innate,
it's just like
innate
yes.
knowing. I say innate before the knowing because it sounds like I'm saying annoying.
I know what you mean. It's kind of just like a quick download.
Yeah.
And you just know. So those are the main clairs that spirit uses to speak through. Mediumship in particular, I love it. It's beautiful. They speak to me through the way, first of all, okay, so when we're doing mediumship specifically,
Let's do it. Let's do a little bit.
They appear to me it's a higher vibration than psychic too. So you have to really be able to prepare yourself. Meanwhile, psychic, it's easier to kind of just tune into. With mediumship, you really have to focus and ground. And they show me themselves in the way that they would like to be described to the person. So whether
That's
that
right.
is if let's say that they died when they were older, but they're showing themselves younger, that could be because they really, really loved their youth, for instance. Like there's always a reason why they're appearing the way that they are. So what I would do is describe all of the details that they're showing me, you know, the glasses, like if they keep the glasses down on their nose, like if they're hunched over a little bit, all of the little isms. And sometimes when they are close enough to me, the two bodies kind of merge and I start like acting like them almost. Like it's
cool.
interesting.
Sick, girl.
It's really interesting. And then after we're able to pinpoint who it is, because the client usually, every now and then I'll ask if there's someone specific they would like to speak to, but usually spirit already knows that there's a session. So whatever they are meant to know, whomever they are meant to speak to is already lined up and ready and waiting to greet them. So usually the client has to pinpoint like, okay, wait, who is this person? This person? Oh, okay, that's Uncle Joe. Oh, that's mom, that's grandma, or whomever it may be.
Okay.
And then sometimes they talk about how they passed. So they'll give me maybe a heaviness in my chest and it was a lung thing. Or for instance, if they had a hand in their own passing, for instance, they're usually extremely quiet and heavy and they kind of stand back almost like in a guilty way. Even if they're not actively carrying that guilt on the other side, that's how they're presenting themselves to me to help them pinpoint who it may be. And the most beautiful thing of all is that regardless of who it is, they are so much freer. They are happy. They are, oh my God, it makes us want to go there. Like it's just
that's why I'm
like
like,
a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place.
I can't wait.
So free.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but is there
Too late.
anything you can tap into, or like, even if you have some cards or maybe to do a little something on the spot?
So I can see what they would like for me to do.
Yeah.
In terms of, I think they would rather, okay, they're talking, but when I say they, I mean my guides. My guides are always with me, constantly talking. I think they would rather do something more psychic so that the masses, there's a message to get out to the people even listening.
Beautiful.
Is what I'm hearing. They just had me use this deck specifically, so I'm just going to shuffle it.
How many guides do you know that you have?
I know of 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I have about like 4 by name, but I see like in my mind's eye, I see like 12 to 20 of them. Like I see a
Okay.
whole lot of them.
Cool.
But so some of them have actually come to me. This sounds really, really, really wacky. It
doesn't,
really
though. This
sounds
is
so
normal.
wacky.
You don't,
but
not here. This
yeah.
is normal. Like
we're all fucking weird, man. Like we're weird as fuck.
sacred rebels is what we call ourselves. And
love that.
yeah, we've done
Yes.
a lot of work and courses on this, and
We don't fuck around.
yeah, to use with our clients. So
You fuck around and find
So
out.
this is normal.
I was in a very lost place. Maybe this was like 2019-ish, 2020-ish. And I just kept seeing the word Lee, L-E-E, like everywhere. And whether it was on a license plate or a sign or whatever it is. And finally I was like, okay, what the heck is going on? And I looked down at my GPS and I'm on Lee Valley Way as I was asking, like, what is going on? Okay, so I was like, okay, wait a minute. Who is this? Who is Lee? Who is it? And I heard in my mind's eye the phrase, specifically Cardinal Lee. So I was like, okay, wait. So the first thing that came into my mind was like, is it like a cardinal that had passed away? You know how in Catholicism, like the popes, right underneath the pope, there's like a bunch of people known as cardinals. That's just the first thing that came to my mind. Because I had no idea what else that could mean. I looked it up. I just looked up Cardinal Lee, and what came up was Christopher Lee, who is an actor. He's a British actor, and he passed away in 2015. His birthday is May 27th. 27 is like my number. 27 is the number that woke me up. That is, if any, we're at an hour and 27 minutes right now. That is what 27 follows me. I know 27 follows me around like crazy.
Love that.
So,
and that's like, I always add them together, and that's 9 completions.
Yes, I love that. Yes. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. There's no way Christopher Lee, like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, like there's no way. There's no way.
Yes, there's a way.
No, there's no way. So I was like, okay. Can I please just have a sign? If it is Christopher Lee, the actor that has passed away, that is presenting himself to me as my guide, please let me know. I look up, the car coming that way had Lee on its license plate immediately.
Done.
At that moment. And I was teary. I was like, oh my God, this is insane.
It's perfect.
So one of my guides is Christopher Lee, the actor. He follows me everywhere.
This is so fucking dope.
I love this.
It's wild.
It is so perfect. It's just bridging the gap. What we're doing is we're radically transforming people's language on Earth School, so they see that we are the rainbow bridge. We will never be disconnected from our loved ones. They're with us 24/7.
100%.
Like sometimes I'm like, Dar, I need a little space, buds. I was like, wow.
No, that's legit.
Just kidding. I love it.
No, it's legit. Sometimes there's just yeah.
I was like, right now. Okay.
Okay, so we got 2 cards that came out. And 1 second.
So is this for the collective, or are you doing
this is the
one for me and
collective?
Tiffany?
They really want there's some people that are going to be listening to this. There's something that they need to know specifically, and it could also be, I mean, it's for the collective, so it could also be for the 2 of you as well. Okay, so all right, what I'm feeling immediately is all is not as it seems. That's the first thing I'm getting. So if something in your life feels and seems as though it's going way wrong, I'm hearing let it go wrong, because it's meant to. It's meant to vibrate out of your life. And it's not as it seems. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? I'm hearing your world is not falling apart, it's falling into place. Is the exact
cry right now.
And what's happening first of all, they are acknowledging the way you may feel. Like it may feel like you are battle weary and just tired and just frustrated sometimes with your life, the way life has fallen for you. I'm also getting like a dual message about that. It's like there's a piece of you that is eternally grateful for it, but there's another piece of you at the same time that just feels so heavy and tired. And if to not feel guilty for feeling heavy and tired, Spirit knows how grateful you are. Spirit knows how hard you've been working, and it's okay to feel tired. It's okay. They're saying that there is a great balance taking place right now in your life as the old stuff goes and the new stuff comes in. They're also saying that you have just scratched the surface for where you're going. Completely you're just scratching the surface. You can't even fathom where you're heading right now. It's going to be so big and just so great and so beautiful. You have a fire within you that has always been within you, and sometimes that may make things feel a little it's almost like that empathness that I was talking about earlier. You just feel a lot. So you feel for the people you're working with, you feel for the people in your family. It feels like there's just a lot on your back all the time. Like you have all of these responsibilities. And even if it's technically not your responsibility, who you are, you're such a helper. Whomever this may be that's listening to this, that is resonant with it, you are just such a light in the world that you feel the need to jump in and help. You feel the need to do all of that. And they're saying to not take on other people's problems. There's a way to help other people without taking it on. And finding that balance is so important. And that's part of the balance that is being brought up right now. On top of all of that, there is, I'm hearing specifically with relationships, externally, but also internally, there is definitely the strengthening of a bond of someone that you already know, someone that you are soon to meet, but also with yourself. And coming into union with self. It's going to be a dedicated effort on both your parts. I'm hearing that both of you are healing, both of you are becoming one with self, and as you become one with self, you become one with each other. And I'm also hearing, when it comes to that relationship in particular, if this resonates with you, to not give up, because I'm hearing that this person in particular is not only a teacher for you, they're also someone to help propel you forward. So even if there was some, I'm hearing some conflict of some sort, there's something about a mirror that I'm seeing where the conflict was actually meant to help both of you grow. Now there is free will as to whether or not you take that to grow, but it really is meant for growth. And if you answer the call, it could very well help bring this to the next level. When it comes to the relationship with yourself, I'm hearing the old version of you is being shed and the new version of you is also being born simultaneously. So if you feel kind of like in that in between, like the old you hasn't fully died off, but the new you isn't fully born yet, to just stay steadfast, keep giving to yourself. That's one of the hardest places to be, and it could also feel a lot like dark night of the soul. And when you're in that in-between state, because you don't really know who you are anymore, you do know who you are. You do know it. It's always been there. It's that light within you has always been burning. And what I'm hearing is what's happening is you're just shedding the layers to reveal who you've always been. You don't need to find yourself because it's already there. You just got to, pull back those layers to reveal who you've always been. There's one more message. That message is, those of you that feel battle weary, that feel tired and frustrated sometimes, that have had years and years and years and years of this, that have overcome so much, but still don't really feel like you're quote unquote in the clear yet. There's a reason why you were given the path that you were given, and it's because you could handle it. Not only that, you're meant for even bigger things than you could ever even imagine. If you went through big problems, you're going to experience big reward for those problems. So do not give up, because the future's really bright.
Wow.
Oh,
I have a question though.
Sure.
Wow. So when you were talking about everything's being cleared right now, you were saying the path is being cleared. So the old is being washed out of everybody's life. And then when you were talking about relationship, are you talking about this new relationship that's coming in? And the fact that the two people this new relationship that's coming in, you said the two people are working on themselves and then it will kind of come together. Is that kind of, I just wanted.
Okay, that's a great question. They're actually showing me two different groups of people. The first group of people was a relationship that seemed to, you put in a ton of effort into it. You really, really wanted it to work, and it just wasn't working. That relationship was actually meant to propel you forward. Then there's another situation where it feels different than that. It's like this innate knowing that the other person is meant to be in your life for a long time. Like, you just know it. There's no question surrounding that necessarily. There might be some confusion on the human level, but when you really look within your heart, it just this person you feel is meant to continue to mirror you throughout your life, regardless of what form it may be in. So like, that doesn't necessarily mean you will like get married. It could mean that. It very well could mean that, but it's really meant for more your personal growth. You very well could come together with this person, but because this is collective, there's so many different little groups that this could feed into. So they're kind of touching a lot of them. Because yes, what you're saying is 100% true for one of the groups. For another group, there is a specific relationship from the past, I'm hearing, that is seem to have taken a really big toll on you. That doesn't mean like you're not strong. You actually have come out stronger, I'm hearing, but that doesn't mean it's still, not affecting you. They're saying that all will be made right because there is someone else that is actually, they're saying the antithesis of who they are. So it's almost like the parallel version of who they are, only in light. So if that person was rooted in darkness, imagine all of those qualities, that connection, all of that beauty, but only in a more pure place. So you're actually getting that you're experiencing the two different realities. You have at one point experienced that conditional love. So like that narcissism, for instance, very conditional. You are now ready to experience unconditional love. And that unconditional love, you've been prepared for that, because you also have to be in an open place to allow yourself to receive that, to know that you're worthy of receiving that love, because it can feel overwhelming at times. Like, do I really deserve this? Oh my God, this is amazing. Am I going to just kind of clam up and no, like, you have been prepared this entire time for it. I'm also hearing for another group that something will be coming back around in a very healthy way, but the Spirit is saying just to use your own discernment with it, because if it's not healthy, it's not healthy. But you'll know if it is, because you will have gotten to a point where you're able to trust yourself significantly more.
Sick.
Wild.
What's
What's resonating with me, what I'll just share, is a past relationship and the duality and how dark it was, and how it's all not for anything, which I know that it's all, I'm so grateful for. But the fact that you said that it's all coming around and being balanced, it's like justice is here to be
Yes.
served.
Yes.
And it's just like, and even, eventually I do believe and feel all the hard work that I'm talking about myself right now that I've been doing.
Mhm.
And it's all, to prepare me for the future. And then also whoever it is that will enter into my world, my superior man is doing what he needs to do to make himself be in alignment for then that union to come together.
For
Cool.
sure. Yep. That definitely aligns very much with what Spirit was saying. That's right on, actually. That makes a lot of sense to me too.
And preparing for, and it's like all this, it's been like, when you've been in the dark for so long and you're just like, when is it my turn? And it's not from a victim
Yes.
place.
Yes. No,
But
you just
then-
want it.
And then when you just said, you're like, it's because it's going to be so much larger than you could have ever imagined for yourself. I
Yeah.
pretty much just peed and pooed my pants. I was like,
I shat myself.
so beautiful. Like it's going to land for a lot of people. All of what you said, really, like I took pieces from all of it. I don't know
Me
about
too.
Tiff.
Absolutely.
It was like just that beginning of clearing the old.
Yes,
Rid
the
of
old
that
must
old.
collapse before the new is built.
You
And
That's
can't.
right.
sometimes that collapse takes a while, and people are like, wait, is it still collapsing, or is my new beginning never coming? No, of course it's coming. It is coming. But if it's taking a long time to clear out those older layers, just you wait, because what's coming is that same level or greater on the opposite spectrum. So in the spectrum of light and abundance and love, and it's going to be that or greater on that level on the other side of the scale.
Wow.
So this is dope. And I know we have to start wrapping this up, but I know I told you you look like my cousin Daniela.
Mhm.
You look like fucking young Jennifer Lopez.
Really? I've never
Oh.
been told that, but
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've always watched Jennifer's movies, like especially Selena and any of the older ones that she did. And you look so much like her. Like, holy shit. Yeah.
thank
There you
you.
go. That's
But
quite
even-
the compliment.
Yeah, it is. But even grander, because you look like your beautiful self. So
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. I love Jennifer Lopez too.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Wow. I'm still in awe. I'm just like, whoa.
Wow.
Would you come back on the show? Because we have so
Oh my
much more
God,
to
of
talk about.
course. Yes.
Yes.
100%. I've done a couple. Okay. I know. I was about to say don't tell anyone, but meanwhile I'm like saying it on a podcast.
Too late.
I've done a couple of them, and this is by far my favorite. I really resonate with you
Yay.
guys.
We're hugging you. We're loving you. Like,
Clap.
okay.
We're clapping.
Yay. Well, let's do another noise.
No.
Da-da-da.
Yeah, sure.
And then
When I
this
watch
one.
back, I'll hear it.
Yeah, you will.
So I just want to say so many more. I just want so much more.
Well, it's so easy to talk to you,
Yeah.
Alessandra, because we speak the same language, and there's so many facets to these conversations that has helped our listeners and the communities that we're building. Because matter of fact, we are the cleanup crew. And this is what we're here for, is to spread the word of awareness and just wake the fuck up. And it has been such a pleasure having you on the show. I've been watching you, and your aura is literally white, and
Yeah, it's just
you
going-
grow,
yeah.
it grows like this. So it was very refreshing to have you. And it's so nice to see such a young face so awakened. And we're just, I'm
We
just
love
over
you.
the moon. I have a little crush on
We're
you.
all like,
I'm not gonna lie.
I love you
total
guys.
soul tribe. We're just calling them our soul tribe.
Mm-hmm.
We need to come to New Jersey. We're gonna have to do a
Please.
trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can people find you? What's your thing? What's your handle?
So my handle is Alessandra. It's a long names. ALESSANDRA. So period. Spiritual advisor. So again, Alessandra.spiritualadvisor.
We'll
on
have that in our
Instagram.
show notes.
Yeah. And we'll tag you in all the magic.
Great. Thank you so much, you
Yes.
guys. It's
Thank
an
you
honor.
so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely check her out. She is the real deal. So much love. Bye.
Bye.